So how I got into it really. So back in 2012, I was inspired by Olympic Games. I was watching it on the TV, triathlon. I had no clue, and I was basically inspired to do something. I couldn't swim, and I wasn't running at all. So it really started just after that. September was when I started running. So I won't go through the long story, but so I started in 2012. In 2013, I did my first triathlon, and I got injured leading up to it, and I was convinced it was the bike. And I did one the following year, but I was injured again. I kept getting injured because of my, I think I didn't have the right bike set up and stuff like that. So I kept getting injured, nearly quit, but we come back from my honeymoon, and on the day we came back, I said to my wife, I want to give an aquathlon a go. It's a local one up about 20 minutes away by car. I want to give it a go. At the time, I was doing a sports study for a friend of mine who's a very good runner, and he said to me, don't go and race because you're jet lagged and you'll get injured. But obviously I didn't listen to him. I just wanted to do a bit of fun. So because I basically stopped doing the bike in early 2014. I didn't go on the bike until 2017. So I had a long period of not going on the bike because mentally I was scared. But anyway, I got into I turned up to this race, didn't really have a clue what to do. I had a wetsuit, never put a wetsuit on before, decided not to use a wetsuit. And turned up to the race, did the race, did loads of mistakes. One thing I remember tying my shoelace forever on the race. I came 5th overall, so I was really happy, and I was told that I wasn't far off the qualifying time criteria to get into the age group team. So I sort of set my hearts on that, and then by the time that was in July, sorry, and then by the time it got to September, I was 3.5 minutes quicker than I was back in July. So that is how I got into it, really.
Brilliant. And you might have to describe this because people listening to the podcast won't be able to see what I'm seeing, but I can see some swim caps and medals behind you. Can you talk me through what's on the wall behind you there?
Okay, I first see that's my wife's finisher medal for London. She got in the second attempt, and she doesn't run past half marathon, and she didn't think she could do it anyway. She did it, so a really proud moment. That was last year. So that there is my debut for Great Britain in my age group. It's not actually. I came third. In my age group, but that's not that's a finisher medal on there. My medal is locked up in the cupboard. So it's got my name, and then there's a picture. My wife did this, and there's a picture of me on the finish line, holding my knees. I had to sprint the last 400 meters to try and get that podium place. So yeah, that's my first ever race for Great Britain on there.
Brilliant. Can you tell me what it felt like to wear your name and GBR on a tri-suit for the first time?
Nervous wreck.
Is that right?
Yeah. Obviously, you get the suit months beforehand, and I couldn't believe it, seeing your name on there, and then turning up to the race with obviously I had the kit before, so I was really privileged, a huge honour. I never expected to represent Great Britain, so it's quite good, and it sort of really hit me on the day. Really, I turned up in transition, and let's talk about that's my number from transition on there, and that really did when I went into my box. That sort of made me really nervous, and but apart from that, it was just a huge honour and privilege, and you get this massive high, but then you also get this high, this thing in the back of your mind that you don't want to let people down as well.
Yeah. I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about age group racing in general, because a lot of people listening to this, when we've been chatting to people who have maybe competed at ITU level or Olympic level, it's hard for us to imagine what that world might be like, because I guess a lot more of us might see as our dream something a little bit more realistic, which might be competing at age group level, and it's something you've managed, but not only managed, but done really, really well at. What is it like to compete at age group level? Is there a lot of competition? Because I guess all the people who have a job to hold down during the week and can only train at the weekends might try and compete at that sort of thing one day? What's the atmosphere like?
Well, all races have been different, so it depends. Like my first race, my second race at the World Championship was part of the World Triathlon Series. So you had all the pros, the elites. So you got to see people like Alistair Brownlees, and Graham Jorgensen, people like that, and you get to see the race as well. It's like a carnival atmosphere. So you know, most of the multi-sport events now that have split away from the World Triathlon Series, so you do get the odd races that go there, but you get these multi-sport events, so it's not just one event now. You get like the aquathlon, you get long distance triathlon, cross triathlon, all these wide range. So it goes on for about 2 weeks, or a week to 2 weeks. So you have a whole atmosphere. There's loads of things going on. So there's always team parades for different teams. It's just a really good, feel-good factor, and you get to meet people. I mean, the GB team is very friendly, and that's one of the reasons I really like competing for GB, is because of they're really friendly, and it's more of a team feel. Whereas you can go with other countries and you can see there's the odd 1 or 2 athletes. It doesn't feel right, but yeah. So. The GB guys are really good, are nice, friendly. You have other athletes, everyone's there, everyone's friendly. Obviously, race day, everyone gets competitive. So it's a good, a lot of people use it as stepping stones to become like an elite or a pro. It can be realistic to get in. If you train for it, I always think if you work hard at something, you can certainly achieve like a dream. It is hard. Sometimes, like my age group, for example, you have got elites from other countries or people that were pros have now retiring, and they're coming into the age group. So normally the 35 to 39 and the 40 to 45 age groups are quite packed with elites and stuff, and it's very, very tough. When I made the jump, I noticed that. Yeah, I've made some friends, really good friends. I'm competitive with them. I know, like, I'm competitive against myself, but it's a nice thing. And what I like about it, me and my wife like about it, is that we get to go to places that we probably wouldn't have gone to, and everywhere we've been, we've had some amazing things. I'll quickly go through them. Like the first time, 2016, I went to Châteauroux. 3 hours away from Paris, a tiny little town, beautiful town. And then I went to the World Championships that year later on in Cozumel, Mexico. Probably would have never gone to Cozumel, but always wanted to go to Mexico. It's lovely. The following year was, where was that? That was Penticton in Canada, the most beautiful place I've ever been to. I recommend it to anyone. The race setting was just amazing. It was just a huge lake. I mean, Canada was just amazing. The best place I've ever been to. Bratislava as well was the European Championship. It was all right. It was a bit. I didn't really particularly like the event because it was a bit of a hit and a miss sort of thing. They just set up thing. Richard Varga got it set up, and it was. We turned up for the swim wreck, and there was nothing there. And then the following day, everything was ready for the race. So they did put a good event on. 2018, we went to Odense in Denmark for the World Championships. That was again a lovely place. Again, I wouldn't have gone there. Recommend it. We flew into Copenhagen and then went across the bridge to there. And then at the end of that year was Ibiza. I'm not into clubbing or anything. My friends always invited me to go there, and I wasn't in. Well, I like clubbing, but I wasn't into Ibiza. But went to Ibiza, and it was off season, and it's actually I was really surprised. I'd go again, like how lovely it was. Good event as well. And then last year we were in, trying to think where it was, Romania for the European Championships. I probably would have never gone to Romania. Probably would have never gone to this place. Lovely place again. So it's like keep ticking off these off your list. And then we had the World Championships in Pontevedra in Spain, and again we flew into Porto, so we could do Porto and we could race in Spain. So we did 2 countries. So we do like a holiday out of it. So yeah, you get to meet people, you get to go out on meals and stuff, and you get to make friends, and it's a huge honour, and it's a good environment to be around.
That's brilliant. Yeah, and I guess that's the reason that a lot of people get into triathlon, because they want to make friends and they want to try new experiences, see new places. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and everyone's got the same hobby, haven't they? So they're sharing the same interests and stuff. So yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And your wife's keen to come along. Is she also a triathlete, or does she just have to put up with your all your competition?
She doesn't do triathlon. She did run a aquathlon. She found it really tough, but she enjoyed it. She just runs. She likes to socialise, and so she runs with the same running club, but she socialises with people. But yeah, she's very supportive, and I'm very lucky. And yeah, she comes to every race and every everywhere we've been so far, she's been, and yeah, she's very supportive, and I'm very lucky, to be honest.
Yeah, and she gets to come on the annual holiday as well.
Yeah, she gets to come on annual holidays. Yeah.
So yeah, you competed at a very high level. So you've won the nationals twice and the Europeans once. Very, very.
Yeah, and I came third on my debut. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, yes. And you don't get that level of success without applying yourself to some quite committed training. Can you tell me how you manage to find time for the training and how you keep it interesting?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, I didn't realise I was any good. I turned up to national championships 2 weeks before, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before the Europeans in 2016. And it was my first big race, like a big race with people. It nearly went wrong because someone hit my goggles out in the start line. Just managed to pick them up, put them on, and carry on swimming. And I came third on the nationals in my age group. So I was really happy. So I didn't expect to be any good. Anyway, so what I train. So the normal week. So I work Monday to Friday, 8 till 4, office space. I work for the NHS as a performance analyst. But I got flexible hours, so I can change my hours if I want to. Like I can work 9 till 5, for example. So I like to get in there early, and because it's only 20 minutes from where I live, I can get into the gym by 4:30 most days, or in the swimming pool by 4:30. So, for example, do you want me to go through what I would normally do?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so after work, I'd be so on a Monday, I'd normally do a strength session, and then I'll do a swim session, an hour to an hour and a half in the pool, and then I'll do a strength session as well in the same complex, and I'll be home about 7 o'clock. So, and my wife, she normally finishes work at 6:15, so roughly home the same time. So we still get time together. On a Tuesday, I normally do a strength session. Well, I would normally do a strength session at the gym, and then my running club is literally 2 minutes across the road. So I go running with them on the interval sessions on the Tuesday, and my wife, she goes as well. So that's that. We get home about 8:30. Obviously, it's not ideal eating late at night. Wednesday, I come home. I do a session on the watt bike, and then I do a master session, which is so I have dinner, then I do a master session, which is 8 o'clock at night, finishes at 9:30. So that's my really late night. Get home at 10 because it's 20 minutes away. Thursday I do a long run with the club, but I also do a long bike ride straight after work. So I do about an hour and a half. Then I might run to running club, which is about 2.5 miles away. So normally I might get 3 hours worth of training there. Again, my wife does training as well on the Thursday. So again, I'm not that much out of the house. Friday, I do a really hard session, and that'll be a hard bike session as soon as I get home from work for an hour, and then I'll go and do interval sessions as well, which will be quite hard as well. So straight off the bike, and then Saturday's a rest day, regardless. I'm in complete rest, don't do anything, a bit of stretching, and it's complete rest. So we spend a lot of time together on the Saturday, whereas a lot of people would train on a Saturday. I don't train because I like to have, my mentality is I normally like to have a rest on the Saturday because race day's on the Sunday. So regardless if a race is on Saturday, I would definitely have a rest on the Friday. And on a Sunday, I do quite a bit bulk of my training. I get up early. I do 9 minutes bike session, and I go straight onto the run. That can be an hour run up to 90 minutes. And then in the evening, when the pool's open, or the sea, I'll go and swim in the sea or the pool for an hour. So that's how I fit in my training. Tuesdays, sometimes I swap my strength session around. I do a hard session, bike session as well on the Tuesday. So that's how I balance it around working life and family commitments and friends. So it's quite tough, but I sacrifice a lot during the week, but I still get a bit of a weekend, and I get Saturday, and then I get most of the Sunday morning and afternoon, and a bit of the evening, and I can train late in the evening.
Do you ever get moments in that busy training schedule where you think, oh, I don't fancy it today? And if you do get those moments, what is it that keeps you going?
Well, I see. With what happened with COVID, as soon as the European Triathlon Championships was cancelled for next year, I was still focusing on the national championships and the British Aquathlon Championships was the first one. That got axed a week afterwards. So motivation would have been completely low. So what I did was with my coaches, decided to give me 2 weeks easy easy training, no plan, just do what I wanted to do. So I went running with my wife for a couple of weeks. I didn't do much running, didn't do much, obviously couldn't swim, didn't do much cycling. So that's how I kept motivation. I came back and I wanted to go again. Because if you get injured, you have bags of motivation, but you can't, so it was very similar. I had loads of motivation when I got back, but I wasn't injured. But you go chasing your fitness when you're injured. So what I normally do is I'm very focused on my targets and goals. So I will, if there's races on, I will target them, and I'll keep training, and I'm very much head down. Now, there is days that I don't feel like it, and like everyone, like if it's chucking down with rain, for example, we don't want to go out for a run. I force myself to go out. Now, I always say to myself, like, don't just go out, like, if you can. That's the first step. Go out, get off the couch, just go, and you'll feel a lot better. Now, I normally say if you go out for 10 minutes, and if you don't feel great after 10 minutes, stop and come back home. Don't go chasing the session. Normally, you'll stay out later. Now, so I'll say, yeah, don't chase the session. And you've got to adapt your plans. Just because it's on the plan doesn't mean that you have to do it all the time. So I've gone out for a run, and I've gone out for a long run, and I felt really tired. I've been doing a zone 2 training, for example, in a heart rate. I'm not feeling it. Right, okay, then I'm not going to chase a session. I'm going to go slow, even slower down to zone 1, and I'm going to just really enjoy it. And that really helps as well. So you've got to adapt your training. Don't push yourself, and that's the key, really.
Yeah, I think that's sensible, and it maintains that sense of enjoyment of the sport as well, doesn't it? Because if you're going out and it becomes a chore, then
that's the thing. If it becomes a chore, then you live in dangerous grounds, really, because that's when your hobby's no longer a hobby, and you're just going out to do it. And every session should mean something, so it should have a purpose. So you've got to think, if you're going out for a long run, why are you doing a long run? Because it improves your endurance aerobically. Aerobically improves you, but it also does make you faster. So people get their mentality, they think, oh, I have to train hard all the time. But you don't have to train hard all the time. And unfortunately, a lot of people fall into overtraining because they either train too hard or they're training moderately. Now, I train easy on easy days, zone 2, so it's easy and steady. So, and then on hard days, I go really hard. I don't have any moderate, because I know if I turn up, if I'm going to say, oh, I'm going for a recovery one, that's not going to benefit me. I'm just going to knacker myself out. So I've worked out the years what works best for me, and like my coaches, and I'm a coach as well. So everything is like a little jigsaw puzzle, and it fits into a puzzle. So yeah, I definitely tell you, motivation, you've got to have a plan. So but you don't have to follow it, but something that you can set some goals and you can work towards them.
Triathletes are a notoriously prone to overtraining group of people. Like I guess they they have that habit where they constantly want to get better. They want to get new gear. They want to keep pushing themselves.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the big mistakes that triathletes and duathletes, aquathletes, people doing multisport, what do you think are some of the big mistakes that they make?
Firstly, doing too much too soon. So that's the first thing. Be patient. Results come over time. You can't do things. You can't improve really quickly. You get people that like to race all the time. They like, and realistically, you can only really peak once or twice a year. So it's like when you do marathons. If you want to do try and get a marathon at a certain time, you're not going to peak every marathon. So you've got to do this certain. You've got to look at a peaking cycle. So I normally have 2 key races that I'd peak for. Now you've got to like make sure with your training, you've got to have cycles of your training. So people, they either ramp up and keep ramping up and get injured, or they overtrain and they end up going backwards because they're tiring their body out. Whereas, well, I mentioned briefly again, if you do easy training, that of course keeps you, not only does it improve you, make you go faster and endurance, because people think that if they go hard all the time that they will get faster, but that's not the case. So if you do that, easy training, so I could run, say today, I could tonight I could run 13 miles at an easy steady pace at zone 2 heart rate, for example. Tomorrow I could run 400 meters at full pace, really hard, because I'm still fresh from today's run. Now people don't do that; they go hard all the time, and it ends up becoming a burnout, or they get injured. Now with your training, you've got to look at at end of each season, I have 2 weeks off. No, I don't do any training. I let my body recover, rebuild. Other mistakes people do, so they don't have this. So that's just to at the end of the season. So then I start rebuilding. So for example, last year was October. I started rebuilding. I start increasing training slowly January, but I would start bringing back the miles and stuff. I have 1 rest day a week, regardlessly, no matter what. If I want to take another one, I will do. Leading up to a race, I may have two rest days. Also, leading up to an important race, I taper. So it'll be a 2-week taper, 1-week taper. Lots of people make mistakes here because what they do is that they still do quite a bit of volume stuff, and then they drop the intensity. Now you drop the volume, but you also keep the intensity. So for example, if you're doing say the week previous to the race, you're used to doing say 8 1K reps, I might do 4 1K reps, but still got the intensity there, and I'm still able to hit them hard. So you need to have cycles of your training. You need to look at what key races you're going to work towards. You need recovery weeks, which is quite key. So I like to work sometimes off 6 weeks blocks and then have an easy week. People don't do that; they end up getting injured. So things like that, you just got to be very smart with your training and just be patient. And I always look at cycles. So people work in 2-week cycle, 4-week cycle, 6-week cycles, and so on. What you want to do, you don't want to keep doing too much and overtraining from it, and you don't want to tire yourself out. So if you're doing a 6-week plan, for example, and you're doing running, for example, you might start off with a 1-hour run, and then so say your long run, maybe a 1-hour run, then you'll increase that for 9 minutes for 3 weeks, and you have interval sessions as well. Then you'll maintain that run for the following 3 weeks, and then you have a recovery run. So that's a sort of basic principles. And but yeah, triathletes are notorious for so I've got a bit of a waft, haven't I? But they're notorious for overtraining. And the worst thing as well with triathletes is they only train their best part. They spend more time on their best element of the race, which is completely wrong, to be honest. So this year, for example, I focused on more bike sessions. Now, my running is my strong point. I dropped a swim session because that's become stronger. I used to do 4 sessions, and that's become stronger. And I found that I was able to actually hit good pace with 3 sessions. So I worked more on my bike over the winter to improve my bike, and I was do that next year as well. And that's where I can make the biggest gains. There's no point training for your best element. For example, if I was training for a run, of course, I can get quicker. But if I can get 10 seconds on the run, yeah, that is a big block for, say, a 5K run. Swimming wise, I might get 5 to 10 seconds maybe. So if you concentrate on that, if I work on my bike, it's my weakest part, I'm looking for about 4 or 5 minutes. So there goes your there's your answer. So you always work on your weakest part, but people just triathletes don't. They want to spend, if they're a really good cyclist, they spend a lot of time on cyclists on that cycling. I see it when I come off to the run and they're struggling on the run. So I always say work on your strong point. Work on your weak point, not your strong point.
And what would you say to somebody like me who's quite sporadic with my training? So I am the sort of person who goes out for long, relatively easy cycles and goes for a run without much of a mindset as to what heart rate I want to be at. It's more just, I'll go and run 5 miles tonight. Do you think that plans are important when it comes to training, even just for amateur triathletes like me? Do you think having some sort of set routine would not only improve my performance, but also my enjoyment?
Yeah, if you want to improve and enjoy it, a plan is the way forward. Because purely you can see how far you've come. You can see what you do, what works for you and what doesn't work. So you sort of mentioned about a long bike ride. You might do a long bike ride, but then the following week you might think, well, actually, what did I do last week? I can't remember. So to have a good structure, so you might be like, oh, I have this long bike ride, and I'll go out for an easy 5 mile run afterwards. So I think it's important so you can enjoy it. The reason I like multi-sport and triathlon, and this is the reason why I've got into running, triathlon, was because running, I enjoyed running, but it was just one discipline. And that's why I got into swimming, because I used swimming to help my running originally. And you can cross train. So no day is really the same. So when you're cross training, it makes it more exciting and fun. And like you get different buzzes as well. So if you've done a good run, you get a runner's high. I know you get a cycling high, and then you get a swimming high. So I've come back and I thought, like I've had a slow run, and I'm like, oh, that's really enjoyable run. I've really enjoyed that. And then you come back and you do a hard session, like, oh, I feel really good. Like, so you get all these different highs, and I think it's important that you mix it up, but it is important that you have a training plan in place.
Who would you say is the sports person who has most inspired you?
Well, there's a lot, isn't there? There's a lot of people who inspired me throughout, like when I was growing up. But in regards to triathlon, I watched the 2012 Olympics, and I saw the triathlon. I saw the Brownlees. But I know people are going to say it wasn't them that actually inspired me. Although I watched the race, and it was really good to see like the brothers come first and third. I didn't have no clue what the race was about at the time. But when I started to try get into triathlons and the aquathlons, I started watching it, and I was watching the women's races, and obviously the Brownies were dominant all the time, so I was watching them as well. But what I was seeing was that I saw, like, what I really inspired to was Gwen Jorgensen, because she was at the time she was okay swimmer. I mean, she was really good swimmer, but she was okay swimmer, not the strongest in the pack, mid pack on the bike. But her run, she was just so dominant on her run, phenomenal, yeah. And how quick she ran, she'd take minutes off, and that really inspired me, like, because I looked up to her and I thought, well, actually, I'm weak at the bike and I'm weak at the swim, but I'm really strong on the run. And I knew I was really good at the run, so I was like, she really inspires me. So she's inspired me quite a lot, and she's quite like, I've seen her in races, like live, and I've spoken to her over Twitter and Instagram stuff. She's a really nice, like, down to earth lady, and a fantastic, phenomenal athlete. So yeah, she's probably the one that most inspired me the most.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she's amazing to watch. And when she was winning that 2016 Olympic race, and she was in full stride and yeah, like shaking off some incredible athletes on the run. It was just, it's amazing to watch her in full flow, wasn't it?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I'm inspired to Brownies. Like when I was in the World Championships in 2018, he was actually racing in the aquathlon, the elite race, and he was in transition at the same time I was. And I actually went up and took a picture of him. But they've really inspired me. But yeah, she was the person that's really inspired me the most. Yeah, and she's a fantastic athlete.
Yeah, brilliant. I've got a question for you. I want to ask if you could talk to your like 10 or 11-year-old self. Let's say you're about to start secondary school and you could offer a bit of advice that you've learnt over the years. What would you say to your younger self?
What the hell was I walking cross country for? I love cross country now. I wish I'd say to myself, start now. I'd wish I was a lot younger. I mean, I'm coming to in my mid-30s now and hovering over to the other side. And I started when I was late 20s, 29. So yeah, I wish that I could tell myself to start young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't go chasing football, kick about with friends because it doesn't get anywhere.
A lot of people listening to this will be in a similar position to you where they're trying to hold down a job and train around it. What would you suggest is a good session that somebody could either fit into their 1 hour lunch break or fit into an hour in the morning before they leave for work?
Well, there's a lot of sessions you could do. I mean, you could do the easy runs and they set you up nicely, or the easy cycles for the day. If you were trying to get a bit of a hard session, some key run sessions that I like, obviously I'm guessing wherever you work, so I'm guessing running would be the most simplest thing to do where you work, unless you can get to a pool or they've got a gym in the facilities there, you can use a bike. But run session, you can do a lot of run sessions, so you could do like a warm up 6 times 400 meter reps with 60 seconds recovery. Then you can have 3 minutes recovery between the sets, and then repeat that. That will last, and then have a warm down. That would do an hour. A session I like is 10 minutes of easy running, then 5 minutes really fast, then 5 minutes easy running, 5 minutes fast. You can do that for an hour. So sessions like that, or you can do a pyramid session. So you could do 10 minutes easy, then you could do 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, 2 minutes hard, 2 minutes easy, 3 minutes hard, 3 minutes easy, and you can go back down. So there could be some sessions. Depends how tired you want to get, and if you're sitting in the office, for example, your office space, then you could probably do a lot harder session. But yeah, these are the sort of sessions that I would do. I only get a half-hour lunch break, so I don't train. So I'll either get home and train afterwards. But yeah, if you can fit it in, then yeah, even just going out for. I mean, you could do 30-minute sessions. You could do like 30 seconds hard running, times that by 6 reps, and then if you could fit in another set and then have like 90 seconds between the sets with a warm up and cool down. Yeah, so things like that.
You mentioned that you work as a performance analyst and you also do a bit of coaching. Do you take pleasure from seeing other people improve as you coach them?
I certainly do. I'm the head coach of Canterbury Harriers at the moment. I recently took over just before COVID, but I always like to encourage people. I'm a positive person. I've got no time for negative people. So I always encourage people, and always being an analyst, always with myself, I look to see the improvement. So I like to see. I always say to people, they're new running, they've got a long road ahead of them of improvement, and yeah, so with athletes that I do coach, I've coached few age groupers, and I coached one lady, Gail White. She won't mind me saying her name, and she was at the World Championships last year, the aquathlon. It was her first ever one. She qualified, but I trained her for her running, and she improved her running, got really strong, and she came 6th in her age group. So she was really, really happy with that, and that was good. Like seeing her and her family celebrating and being really happy about it was also made me feel happy and like the achievement. And I had another lady that I coached, and she's a fantastic swimmer, but she come off the back of off the swim onto the run, and she was really struggling, she said, and would get overtaken by lots of people, and mentally she said she was finding that tough. And I worked on her running, and she got stronger, and she was a lot turned up to nationals. She was really happy because of where she finished. She didn't expect it, and she was a lot stronger on the run. And yeah, so things like that, and just seeing like seeing friends improve. Like, I've got a friend at the moment who's he's training for London if it goes ahead, but he doesn't do any running, and mate, just to see him getting out there and training and actually improving every week, and seeing the times drop, like his pace, for example, yeah, it's really good satisfaction, and I really like it, and it's something I'd like to do more in the future.
It's interesting hearing what you say about your approach being very positive, and I guess that's different from maybe how coaching was perceived in the past, where a lot of people would have tried to be hard taskmasters to almost frighten people into training harder. And I guess, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear, what are your thoughts on coaching techniques in that sense? Do you think there is any place for people being intimidating? I know it's not your style, and it definitely wouldn't be a style I would respond so well to, but do you think there's a place for that, or do you think now, I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, see, I'm a different sort of coach. I like to be positive, and I will tell people if they're doing their technique wrong and stuff like that. But I'd work on them and say, look, this is what you need to do, right, and stuff like that. And when they're running, I tell them. For me personally, I turned up to this masters swimming session because she's coaches GB swimmers, and my friend who nearly qualified for Commonwealth Games when he was back in his early 20s, went to college together. He said to me, go and see her, because I've just got back in swimming. She's really good. Turned up, and this was just after I'd won the 2 bronze medals in 2016 for Europeans and the nationals. And she basically said to me, I was swimming, I got in the lane with them, and she said to me, get out. She said, come here, get out. And she said to me, your technique's rubbish. She said, have you got a coach in mind? I said, yeah. She said, you need to sack him, you need to come here. She said, you need to come here regularly. And she said, see that kids pool there? I said, yeah. She said, you're going in there and you're going to learn to scull before you start swimming. And she was absolutely brutal, and she shouts and stuff, but I like that because she's actually really good, and she means well, and she's a really good coach. But some people are like that, and some people are. But some people, they go overboard, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the session, she said to me, most people don't take their first session very well, and you did. But I'm there to learn. So it depends what you want, and depends on the individual as well. I like to gauge the individual as well, like when I'm coaching. But I'm more of a positive person, and I'm more of like filling them with positivity, because I think that goes a long way.
Last couple of questions, Yiannis. Okay. Can you tell me what your big goals are for the coming year? So it's hard to know whether we're going to see any racing in the remainder of 2020, but even looking ahead to 2021, what are your big goals?
Well, so this year was meant to be a really big year for triathlon for me. It was my first ever qualification for the European Triathlon Championships in Malmo, which was in 3 weeks' time, which got cancelled till next year. That was a dream come true, because I always wanted to be in. It's so hard to get into the triathlon team, and I just scraped in, so I was really happy. So that was going to be a big year. I was going to target the nationals and the first British ever aquathlon championships. I was going to do that. I wasn't going to retain my go and defend my national championships for the 3rd time. Aquathlon championships. So I was going to tone down some of the races, but I was going to do more important races with triathlon, because next year I was going to focus, me and my wife are focusing on having a family. So I was going to have like a year out. So it sort of happened a year out this year without the family bit. So next year, all depends what happens. But my main priority is to target the European Championships, wherever it is. And this year I wanted to be in the top 10 and be competitive. Big ask, but next year me and my coaches decided that I am competitive, but I'm going to try and be up there. So I want to try and attack the podium places. So see what happens, and try and do podium in the national triathlon champ. So these are my key races, depending where they fall. So yeah, it's going to be triathlons next year. Not as many races as the previous years, but they're going to be more important races, and that's really my goal. And I'm focusing now on 221. I've got, I think, 2 triathlon races in September that are going at the moment are going ahead. They go ahead, yeah, I'm happy to do them. Realistically, I'm not swim fitness. I'm swimming twice a week in the sea because I'm restricted by the tides, for example, and I can't work on technique and stuff. And I do a lot of technique work, so I'm going to spend. So my swimming, I don't know how competitive it would be swimming wise. So I'm just going to go out and enjoy these races and just look to build next year. So I'm going to focus more on my cycling over the winter, as again, it's my weakest part, and build the swimming and the running through the winter and ready for next year, really.
Brilliant. We'll be cheering you on.
Thank you.
Last thing I want to ask, what is your perfect weekend? Let's imagine you had a blank slate. You didn't need to worry about your normal training program. I could send you anywhere in the world. What would you choose?
I'll go on holiday. I'd say I'd go back to Canada and just walk around Vancouver or Penticton, where we were, just walk around there and enjoy. But to be honest, most weekends I is normally training but I do like the race buzz, so I would miss it. But a perfect weekend would be, I suppose, having a race on a Saturday, somewhere lovely abroad that I've never been before, and enjoying the race. And then on the Sunday, being able to sightsee the area and really enjoy it. That would be a perfect, like, with my wife and my family, that'd be a perfect weekend. If going somewhere new. Yes, that'd be it.
Yiannis, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on here.